Welcome friends to another r/malicious compliance video. If you give this video a like, I'll get revenge on the person saying, "Stop uploading," by uploading another video tomorrow. And our first story of the day is by Calm Cauliflower 3135. Post office said I couldn't file a complaint about the mailman not trying to deliver my packages because I had no proof. So, I got proof. For context, in my country, if your package gets sent through the National Post Service, you're basically screwed. It takes 200 years and they never actually deliver it. I don't know how it is in other countries, but here, they're supposed to ring your doorbell if the package doesn't fit the mailbox, and if you don't answer, they leave a notice and you have to go and pick it up all the way at the post office. The problem is that my mailman doesn't even try to deliver them. He just leaves the notice without even ringing the doorbell and leaves. I've had to pick up nearly every package I've ordered because of that. Well, the last time was my last straw. I was obviously home because of the pandemic. Suddenly, I received a call that immediately hung up. It was so fast that my phone didn't even ring, it just showed up as a missed call. No doorbell, nothing. I suspected it was the mailman and ran to the door, only to find him inside the truck looking straight at me before driving off. Well, I was pissed and called the post office to file a complaint. I explained the situation, and the lady told me that I couldn't file a complaint because they're only instructed to ring the doorbell, and calling is optional, and I couldn't prove that he didn't ring it. At first, I just avoided using them again at all costs, but the other day, I ordered something and chose a delivery company from the ones listed on the website. Apparently, that company hires the National Post Service to deliver for them here. When I found out, I basically stalked the tracking info for days. It was about 2 weeks late. Until one day late at night, it said it had arrived in my country, which usually means that the next day, it's going to be delivered. The next day, I woke up at 7 a.m. to check. My suspicions were correct. It said out for delivery. I quickly grabbed something to eat, got on my car, and parked right outside my house. Then I waited and waited and waited, 6 hours in total until I finally see the post truck pulling over. I grabbed my phone to record and watched as the mailman opened the door, already either notice in hand, slid it inside my mailbox, and turned around. I got out of the car and said, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" He didn't even look at me and said, "Just delivering packages, miss." Then I stood there as that jerk grabbed his phone to call me and quickly hung up. I smiled as I took my phone out of my pocket and sarcastically stated, "Oh bummer, you didn't even give me time to reach for the phone." He literally turned white, couldn't even speak. I continued, "Now can you give me my package, please?" He quickly opened the truck, almost tripped and took out my package. "See, wasn't that easier than your whole scheme?" He finally manages to say, "Sorry, miss." I turned around and left. He probably thought he got lucky I didn't say anything else, but little did he know that I sent the video to the post office via email attached to my complaint. Well, let's just say I have a new mailman. This one tries to leave a second after ringing the doorbell, but at least he rings. Should it be expected for the mailman to come up to your door, ring the doorbell, and wait around for a little bit to see if you come by to pick up the package? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Our next story is by I Have No Username Sorry. Theft for theft. My Oyster card, used to pay for public transport in London, was stolen once about 5 years ago. I didn't realize until over a week later because I was staying at my mom's house, and it was only when it came time to leave that I realized I didn't have it. But I was logged into the Oyster card app on my phone. I could see that the thief had used it 20 minutes after I had used it. I could also see that the thief had waited a few days for the card to be reported as lost or stolen before topping it up by £20. The reason for the wait is because if the card is reported as lost or stolen, it can no longer be topped up or used. Cha-ching! The thief hopefully went from happy to gutted when they realized that they lost out on £20 because I transferred the money from my thieved Oyster card to my new one. Moral of the story, don't be a jerk. Stolen Oyster card? Well, that really shucks. Haha, alright, catch you on the next story. Which is by FBML, Backpacks of Bricks and Dog Poop. The year is 1999, I'm in high school, a small Catholic high school with 500 total students. While there were outdoor lockers for upperclassmen, most students had to carry their books all day. As crazy as it sounds, students would leave their backpacks in rows beneath the lockers of upperclassmen while in class, and to my knowledge, nobody ever stole a thing. Well, one day a kid's backpack was supposedly open and their Texas Instruments graphing calculator was allegedly stolen. It was a small school, and none of the students admitted to each other anything was really stolen, so most believe the admin was lying to us about this pretext. The school admin then established a rule that backpacks had to be carried, and any left outside would be picked up and taken to the dean's office. Cue petty revenge. A friend of mine and I agreed on a plan. I gathered a dozen backpacks, mostly from the thrift store, for about $25. I filled them with bricks. My friend collected several gallons of dog poop from his German shepherds and the nearby dog park. Into the backpacks they went. We added some wet, with pee, washcloths in there too. We arrived at school early that day and dropped the very heavy bags off around campus. By noon, they'd all been picked up and taken to the dean's office. As it goes, the next day I found an excuse to pass by our office, which reeked. They tried hard to find the perps who masterminded this dastardly plan, but we kept the secret tightly guarded. Until, well, now. By 1999, security cameras were pretty common, right? I'm really shocked that they didn't have some kind of way of actually figuring out who did it. And who got the worst of it? The people who picked up all the backpacks and stored them in their office, or the kid who spent however much time it took getting gallons of dog poop and pee? What a real win-win there. This next story is by ALG Rocks Your Socks. Refuse to pay the money you owe? Lose a shoe. This happened earlier this morning. I work in a company where you can lease furniture, and I act as a repo man in a way. There's a customer of ours who's always pretty late and tends to be a huge jerk about it, but normally pays. But this time he's egregiously past due and has said he has no intention of paying and basically thinks that if I don't answer the door, then it's my stuff. Now, people who've worked in rent-to-own know that this isn't exactly rare, but I was told that my pay might be cut because our wages reflect our numbers, and this guy has thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. So I'm knocking on his door, and I hear a little movement. I keep knocking, hear a bit more. Eventually, after banging on his door for about 10 minutes, I give up and turn to walk away. But I notice a big stack of shoes on his doorstep, at least 10 pairs just sitting there near his porch's chair. So I look around to see any cameras, witnesses. It's pretty isolated, so I just grab one shoe. I keep it in my truck for half the day, then plop it on the sidewalk halfway across town. I now plan to steal one shoe every time I know he's ignoring me. Apparently, from the discussions they have in the comments, it's not uncommon for them to be at these people's houses trying to get them to either give the merchandise or pay the rent, and the people will call the cops on them. And then when the cops come, all you have to say is, they're trying to steal our merchandise. And then I guess apparently they very quickly will either pay up or hand it over. The bottom line, sometimes stubbornness prevails. Our next story is by Lincoln Pork Roll. Beep at me, beep at you. I was grabbing some bagels for my family this morning. I left the store, hands filled with bagels bag and iced coffees, and stepped off the sidewalk to cross the parking lot. I was only a few steps away from the curb when a car turned into the parking lot from the road and barreled toward me, beep, beep, beeping their horn. I stopped crossing the lot and they swerved around me at an unsafe rate of speed, surely off to some life-threatening emergency. Oh wait, no emergency. They just needed to park to get bagels too. I got in my car and waited. They were gathering their belongings and turning their car off. So I opened my straw and prepped my iced coffee. The woman finally exits her car from the bagel shop, and wouldn't you know it, it's the same exact time that I was planning on leaving. As she began to traverse the parking lot, I laid on my horn. Beep, beep, beep. The woman was so startled she dropped her car keys. I slowly drove past her, just sipping my iced coffee. Yeah, no, I think this woman got exactly what she deserved. In fact, considering how reckless they were, they probably got off lightly. I like bagels a lot too, but I'm not swerving into the parking lot around people just to get it. This next story is by Ellis the 2. Mean mug me? Lose $20. So I was shopping for groceries one day, and I went down the chip aisle. I was by myself, and I hope this didn't have anything to do with race, but I should let you all know that I'm black and the other guy was white. So I'm walking down the aisle and I see these two guys, looks to be in their 40s, just talking. As I walk past, one of the dudes literally stops talking and completely stares me down. He's completely mean-mugging me like I was listening to their conversation. I awkwardly look back, but I don't say anything. Neither of us spoke, but he stared me down until I was far enough out of the way to not care anymore. I didn't do anything. I wasn't being loud or anything. I was simply walking down the aisle. So a few minutes later, we're both checking out. We leave and start walking to our cars. He's a little bit ahead of me. He goes to pull out his car keys, and when he does, a crisp $20 bill falls out of his pocket and the wind literally blows it to my foot. I step on it and grab it. For a second I thought to stop him, but I remembered just 5 minutes ago he was looking at me like he was gonna beat my butt, so I kept it. Felt pretty darn good if I say so myself. So if you walk down the aisle and somebody was mean mugging you, $20 later blows out of their pocket right to your feet, would you keep it or would you say something to the guy? I want to hear what you would do in the comments down below. Our next story is by Shilk008, made an anti-masker furious as freak. My family has a small grocery store, more like a stop shop where you can find many things, and we like to give a rapid service to our customers. Like, you'll rarely spend 5 minutes plus because all the things you need are already here. And with the pandemic going on for more than a year, we've had our fair share of stories of anti-maskers and all, but this time, I got fed up. I was at the cash register and there was this guy, rude as freak with no civil manners at all, and he always comes by without a mask and will always insult you when you tell him to do so. But after 5 times, I seriously had enough. So when I saw him arrive today, I was armed. He came in still maskless and asked for a prepaid mobile card. Those are pretty popular here, and we have a high sale of those. I decided to not let him go this time. I told him to go wear his mask, and he kept insisting for me to serve him, and after a couple of times of me telling him to go wear it, which he had in his car mind you, put it on and came back inside, I told him to sanitize his hands. And he angrily did it, still saying I don't know what profanities in a low voice. Then came the time to take the temperature. Recently there was a law that all self-service have a thermometer gun, and we must take temperature every time. Even nearly got in trouble with cops because of it. And I took all my time to switch on the gun, pointed at his head, took his temperature once, acted as if it didn't register, and took it another time, and then told him that, okay, now he can order. He was visibly red and angry as freak. I could see his expression clearly. When he asked again for the prepaid card, I was like, oh this? Sorry, we actually don't have any in stock. They're all gone. With a very jovial voice, which made him fume even more, and he just threw a fit right on the spot, yelling at me and all, but as soon as I pronounced the word, "I'm calling the cops if you don't stop," at him, he backed out and hopped in his car and went away. My dad was at the back and didn't understand what was happening until I told him, and the best part was that the company's salesman that delivered the prepaid cards to us just came 1 hour earlier of the incident, and our stock was completely full of those. I really don't mind losing one customer. I have plenty more, and it's my safety, my workers' safety, and my customers' safety that preoccupies me the most. So if someone's here to put at risk any of those, I'd rather not have them as customers. I mean, there's people who enter maskless at times, but once I make them realize, they apologize instantly and either rush to their cars to put it on or buy one on the spot. And I get that honest mistakes may happen in the rush, but sometimes too much is too much. I don't know about the guy, but I surely made him super angry with my shenanigans, and I'll start anytime soon if he wants to try me again. I haven't heard of any places that demanded you sanitize your hands, but there's plenty of places that say mask only. And nowadays, with the circumstances coming back to light, cases going back up, I'm all for wearing masks whenever possible. And our final story of the day is by Immediate Composer 1, My Dad Scared the Bejesus Out of a Suspected Thief. My dad told me this story. It probably happened about 15 years ago. My dad was a professor at a big state school. To save money, the university fired its cleaners and outsourced the work. The cleaning company hired subcontractors. The result was unsurprising. Cleaners started ripping off offices all over campus. My dad and his office mate got their laptops stolen. Lots of the data wasn't backed up. My dad wanted to confront the cleaning crew, but his tough Kentucky-born office mate recommended against it. Apparently, some of the crew were ex-cons. Not a deterrent for the old man. My dad hatches a plan. He waits in his office with the lights out until late in the evening. A cleaner comes in and switches the light on. My dad's sitting there and says, "Someone stole my laptop." The guy shouts in surprise and hauls butt. I remarked that the cleaner may not have been the thief. My dad said, "Then let him tell the others." It's almost like when you sneak out at night and you come back trying to sneak back in, you creak open the door slowly, and the light flicks on and your parents are sitting on the couch in the living room waiting for you. Well, 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 what are we doing out at this hour, huh? Mom, I'm sorry, I swear I tried to get home earlier. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.